Welcome to the Onslow County Government Complex. Today we're going to be taking you on a behind-the-scene tour here. We're going to be talking with our ITS department and GIS department. We'll also be talking with asset and facility management, with purchasing, and with finance. We're going to find and meet all those great folks who help us all do our best for the citizens of Onslow County. Back to Onslow County today, and joining us now is Laura Jones, Onslow County's Director of Purchasing. Laura, welcome back.
Hi, Lisa.
Now, it has been many years since you and I have had an opportunity to just sit down and talk about what you do on an everyday basis that really keeps us all going in what we need to do. And so we wanted to revisit with you, and a lot has changed. And so the first thing we want to do is kind of explain to our viewers, who is Laura Jones, what do you do with the county, and then what is the role of purchasing that really keeps us all doing what we need to be doing throughout the county. So the first thing is, please share with our viewers, how long have you been with the county now?
I've been working with Onslow County since 1995, so I'm on year 21.
That is fantastic. And you have really, you started out in the old purchasing office down on Court Street. And if anybody has seen a lot of changes in county government, you've been that person. Tell us a little bit about that evolution.
Some positive changes. Yes, we were down on Court Street, and we had a little inventory warehouse store in the back of the building. And eventually, over the years, we developed a warehouse. We moved into the wonderful government center, which we have all enjoyed. During that process, we've acquired a courier position and a central mailroom position. Our part-time buyer has now become a full-time position, generating more savings.
Now, you know, you talk about your staff, and you talked about having a courier now and a central mailroom and printing office that's your responsibility, a warehouse, you have a purchasing agent, and then the buying position. All of you work in tandem with a philosophy of governmental purchasing. And a lot of what you do isn't just the fact that you're buying office supplies. That just really is just not broad enough in any capacity to talk about what you do. And a lot of what you do is really governed by state statute, isn't it?
That's correct.
You have very strict guidelines about what you do.
Correct.
Did you ever imagine, when you started with the county 21 years ago, that what you do would evolve in this way?
No, I didn't. I very much like my job. It's a challenge. Everything that comes through is always new and different, and we just encounter different things all the time.
Now, you shared with me when we were talking off camera that you will be taking on a statewide position as president of the County Purchasing, or the Governmental Purchasing Association. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's the Carolinas Association of Governmental Purchasing.
Okay.
And it's an association between North Carolina and South Carolina. And I am certified as a CLGPO, which is a Certified Local Government Purchasing Officer. And Christina Summers, my purchasing agent, is also certified.
Now, in that process and in the time that we've known each other, you have also completed your degree. I mean, you were working full-time, going back to school, getting all these certifications, and then all of the changes that are going on in the county. And you and your team have really been a pivotal part of that. And really, that's what we want this edition of Onslow County to be about, is how you all wear so many hats and work so hard for all the other departments. Can you share with us a little bit about, when you all get together and you talk about your goals for the year, what you're talking about when you're thinking about the fact that we're all your customers, and you got to keep us all happy, Laura?
You're right. We do service all the county departments. So our goal is to provide the best customer service, when departments require and need supplies and equipment and even office supplies like you had mentioned, our purpose is to get the best pricing without substituting the item and getting the best value at the best price. So there's many different ways we go about doing that. We issue bids, we do an online bidding system. Our buyer sends it out to multiple suppliers, checks the state contract, checks cooperative purchasing programs, and contacts other miscellaneous vendors who have inquired to get the best pricing. And just since July, our buyer position has generated over $70,000 just in office supplies alone. That's not including any formal bids we send out, any informal bids. She does a wonderful job.
So just through her hard work, she saved almost $70,000.
That's correct.
You know, that's the one thing that our viewers and our citizens don't always get to see. They certainly see those departments who are kind of front and center. But what you all do is also on behalf of the citizens. You said certainly that the departments are your customers, but the hard work that you all put in is really ultimately about savings for the citizens.
Correct, because it's county tax dollars.
And so what you're doing by utilizing those county tax dollars the most effectively and the most efficiently you can, it's all about the people.
It is.
Now, since you've been in this new government center, what's kind of been the feedback or the response of your team in being in this space? How has that changed morale or kind of the just general feeling of your team?
I think everybody enjoys coming to work in this new facility, and how could they not? I certainly do. When you look at some of the buildings that we were in, I mean, this is just a blessing.
And I think it probably affects the energy that you want to do your absolute best.
Absolutely.
Now, Laura, we talked a little bit about what you do in terms of contracts, in terms of maintaining the warehouse, maintaining procurement of all kinds of things from fuel to office supplies to office furniture to construction projects, because you get all of those bids and quotes. You also manage the surplus of things as well. Everything, again, from office furniture to land, to real property. Talk a little bit about that process.
Okay. We are responsible for the disposition of surplus property. And like you said, it could be real property or personal property. Real property consists of land. Personal property is anything tangible. It could be a desk. It could be our radios that are turned in. It could be printers, computers, filing cabinets, and all the surplus is turned into the warehouse. We declare it surplus,
Right.
and then we hold it and make it available for other county departments to use. If there is no use within county functions, within county government, then we dispose of the surplus by selling it. And we have two methods that we use. We either post it electronically on GovDeals, which is an electronic auction,
Okay.
or we have a surplus store at the warehouse. And we sell a lot of workable items through the surplus store.
Now, for the general public who might be interested in the electronic purchasing process or through the warehouse, what do they need to do? You know, I'm a citizen, I'm real interested in maybe acquiring filing cabinets for my own personal business or even a vehicle. How do you handle that?
The surplus store is open Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at the county warehouse. And if you would like to look on GovDeals, it's www.govdeals.com. If you search for Onslow County, it'll show all the items the county has for sale.
Now, as we're going to take a tour of the warehouse, how can folks find it? Because it's a little bit tucked away, might not be quite familiar with where it is.
It's located behind the main DSS building.
Okay.
There's a metal building pulling the same parking lot, and it's directly behind the main DSS
And
of Onslow Drive.
So in that New River Shopping Center, just kind of across Hargett Street from the River
Yes.
Shopping Center. Okay, and then also just right off of 24, just about. You can kind of turn
You can come in the back way through there off 24 too.
So they can, citizens can go to that surplus store or look at govdeals.com. And so, again, it's about not being, ultimately wasteful. It's about maximizing the use of that equipment, and then if it can have a second life, all the better.
Right. And all the funds that from the sales revenue sales goes back into the general fund. And from July to December, we've had $70,000 just in surplus sales.
You know, you have a small staff. I mean, considering the size of the county, you know, over 190,000 citizens. We've got almost 30 departments and staffing. And your very small staff does really just an incredible amount of footwork and powerful work on the behalf of all of those departments. Share with me a little bit about the feedback that you get from those departments about your team.
Our departments have a lot of nice things to say about my staff because my staff is very helpful. They go out of the way. They help new employees with training. Anything that someone calls and says, hey, can you find me pricing on this? Our buyer takes the time and is always very helpful and does the best she can do and offers comparable items as well as the same exact item pricing on the same item.
And you know, when you think about the disparate work that we all do from, you know, solid waste management to libraries, what she must have to find and everything in between is pretty incredible, the network she must have.
And I have to say our warehouse staff, they all the orders that come in, they deliver them within a day or two to all the county departments as well. So we get really good feedback from the departments.
Well, Laura, when you think about the role of purchasing in the grand scheme of things, if we were to kind of close out our interview, what would you talk about how you feel when you walk in the door at the beginning of the day and leave at the end of the day, what it means and what you know that your folks are doing on behalf of Onslow County employees and ultimately on behalf of Onslow County citizens?
I think our staff just does a great job.
Well, I can't think you could say it any better than that. Laura, thank you for all that you do and all that your folks do for us.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and we continue our very special feature on behind the scenes in Onslow County government. We're joined now with David McCole. David is the finance director for Onslow County. David, we're so pleased to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, as we've said, this is kind of our behind the scenes look at those departments that make everybody else look great and help everybody else do their job in the best possible way. And when I think about the foundations of county government more than 140 years ago, one of the very first things you see in those early minute books are the establishments of county budgets and how we're going to operate from 1868 to the present. And even though the technology has certainly changed, the process is fundamentally about sound financial management. Talk a little bit about your philosophy and the mission of Onslow County Finance in its general kind of broad operations.
Well, the county's come quite a long way from 1868, I guess. We now post our budget book online. It's pretty much taking all the information that's in our financial data and condensing it in a format that the citizens are better able to decipher what's within the budget and whatever budget year that we're in. And we utilize that data we submit for the award, the GFOA award every year. We'll submit that to be looked at, and they'll give us some ideas of where we need to improve. But it's come quite a long way from 1868. Even from 20 years ago, we put all the information in a condensed format for the citizens to look at, and also for the commissioners to be able to review to make strong decisions on where we should be headed in the very near future.
You know, you talk about making it very accessible for the citizens. It could be some pretty dense data that you all deal with and how you have to process everything from each and every department.
Yes.
And we use a process for budgeting that perhaps the general public might not be familiar with. Talk a little bit about, and sometimes we always think about, we work on a fiscal year, so we
Yes.
begin July 1 to June 30. But it's not as simple as a family budget that you might put together. And yet there's still some very fundamental similar principles. But talk a little bit about how when you give us our marching orders back in November, December, to begin planning for the next fiscal year, how you go about that planning process.
Well, we start off with a budget timeline. Right now what we do is we require all staff to have their personnel request in by December 15th. And any capital items that they see in the future that they're going to need, we ask them to put in their request, and it's due December 31st. So we get a jump on to see what are our big picture items, because one of them, a third of our budget is made up of personnel. So any type of personnel request or reclassifications, we want to get a jump on to have an idea how much is required from a department perspective, and also from the capital perspective, how much is going to be required. So we know where we're headed even before they start entering their budget. And then normally February 1st, we have a budget kickoff meeting a little bit before that, where we'll go over what we're looking for in this fiscal budget, and we really emphasize to the departments, we're asking for what you need to run your department at the most efficient level. So we might not necessarily have the funding in the particular area that we're in, but we need to know what you need to do to run your department at the most optimal level. So when we're asking them we're stressing to them to ask for what you need. But also emphasizing that we might not necessarily have all the resources to be able to provide you with maybe an additional staff member or a certain capital item that you might need. We might not have the funding, but we want to be aware of the fact of what we're facing, so we can factor that in down the road.
You know, we talk a lot about the idea of the fiscal year, as we said, that July 1 to June 30. But what you're doing in tandem with the departments, in tandem with county administration, and listening to the citizens, is a much bigger picture than that. You're thinking 3, 5, 10 years in and
Correct.
out, aren't you?
Correct. We do a 5-year financial forecast right now. I think when you get 10 years, maybe you can go out, but I think my philosophy has always been when you get 3, 4, 5 years out, it's really kind of foggy what you're going to be facing. I mean, look at the financial, economic downfall that we had in 2008. Nobody could have predicted that when they're preparing the budgets, when you're doing a 5 or 10 year projection going up. But we do a 5-year forecast, and we do have what is called I call it a debt capacity model, which we use that as our planning model to determine when can we go out. Like when we built the government center, we had in mind when could we afford to do it, and how much do we think it's going to cost. So we already have those models built in. So from the big picture perspective, we know what projects we have on the horizon that we could potentially do down the road, 5 up to 10 years down the road, up to really 15 years down the road. So again, you get past 10 years, or even out to 10 years, things could change over that time frame. But we do have an idea on the big picture items such as capital projects, what we can afford and when can we afford it.
And, you know, I think that vision is what helps the county have a sense of cohesiveness. We've oftentimes said that Onslow County is a little bit of an anomaly as well in the state of North Carolina, because our economic picture doesn't wave as much as it is really kind of a straight line. We don't have big dips or big ascensions in our economy.
It's true, and it's a positive in some ways, but sometimes when we're dealing with rating agencies, when we built the government center, we go to the market and we have to meet with, when I say go to the market, we go to, it's called limited obligation bonds that we use to finance this facility, and the airport terminal and the Sneads Ferry Public Library, and actually the 800 megahertz project. But when we met with the rating agencies, which by the way we were upgraded a year and a half ago from AA minus to AA by S&P because of our planning processes that we have in place. But what they do is, the stress to us is that yes, we are from an economic standpoint, we have a strong foundation, and we have that steady influence of Camp Lejeune. One of the things though that they do talk to us about is diversifying our economy over time, so you don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
So yeah, that's one thing that it makes it, I won't say easier to budget, but when you're discussing the rating agencies, we were upgraded, but one of the things they will remark in the report is that, you know, we need to maybe diversify our economy over the long run.
A little diversification.
And the commissioners are doing the best they can, I think, to be able to do that. It just takes time to be able to really maybe get another, not industry per se, but just small, medium-sized industries that will come in. And you're always going to need that military side of it in our economics. It just plays a role in our economy. You can't avoid that fact. But you like to have a little more diversification from the rating agency perspective.
It really does define who we are, and it is a tremendous economic driver.
Yes.
Which, as you say, does give us some consistency, and then we have to also be creative in the way we approach things. And you all have definitely done that, looking at the long-range planning, having a big picture for the
Yes.
county. You also have, as we spoke with Ms. Laura Jones a little bit earlier in the show, you also have a tremendous pool of talent in your own staff. And you have folks who remarkably, again, talking about consistently, I think you have some kind of record in this department in terms of your staff, in terms of longevity.
We do have quite a decent amount of longevity, which is great. We have a talented staff, a dedicated staff, and they're always looking out for the well-being of really the citizens of the county, because their financial well-being, the county's financial well-being is utmost importance to the staff, and they're always looking at what's the best thing for the county. And like I said, we have a great staff, and the reason why we earn these awards from year to year is reflective of the staff that we have in finance. And from the budget side, from throughout the whole county, each department head and staff within those departments who help their department head prepare their budget, it's indicative of the type of people that we have. But on the financial accounting side of it, where we get an award for our CAFR every year, we've been fortunate enough to win that award over the last several years. We have, again, it's attributed to the staff that we have here in finance.
Well, I think that, that we all feel that in the other county departments. We know that there is this continuity that's within your department, and this knowledge, the knowledge base that your staff has, that you bring to the table and your staff brings to the table, one about financial understanding the market, understanding what's going on right now, but also a little bit of certainly hindsight about where we've come from and then where we're going. I think that you feel that in talking with your finance team.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. They all know their jobs very well, and it really enables you to concentrate on, especially when, as we know, the budget's rolling around again, and we're going to start reviewing some information probably early April, mid-April. Knowing that you have a great staff in place, so they're going to be able to handle their duties day in, day out, it enables you to concentrate on certain things that pull you away from some of my daily duties, especially during budget time.
Especially during budget time.
And during finance, when we do go out to the market on a financing side of it too, it's not a matter of just, all right, we want to borrow this amount of money. You have to meet with what's called the local government commission. They have to give you the okay that you are financially stable. You do have a plan in place, and once you get the okay from them, then you have to meet with the rating agencies, and they don't determine whether you can borrow the money, but they look at to see what type of when I say rating, they're looking at what type of risk are you of being able to pay back the funds that you're going to borrow, and then that's when that comes up. It takes quite a bit of time to prepare certain financial documents, and again, it enables myself, the Deputy Finance Director Jessica Roberts, and other staff to concentrate on getting those documents, because you have the people in place that can do their job and they can do it well.
What that ultimately says to me, David, is as I'm hearing you share about your team, as I hear about you talking about going to the market and the amount of research and analysis that goes into every decision, again, thinking about, we're not just thinking about from year to year fiscally, but we're thinking 3 to 5 years out. We're having a vision for the county. But ultimately, I think it is about peace of mind, that we can grow responsibly and effectively and efficiently, but that we also can grow. Onslow County is a steadily growing place of 190,000 plus people.
Yes.
And you have to consistently keep all of that in mind as you make your decisions.
Oh, definitely. And our budgeting process, we are very conservative in our budget projections, and that's one of the things I think you see throughout North Carolina. One of the things that really makes this a state where investors want to buy what I call limited obligation bonds. They want to invest in the bonds that different counties have to offer is it's known as a conservative state in terms of how they budget, and having the LGC, the Local Government Commission, in place to oversee all the agencies to make sure that they're financially stable, it really makes a difference in why you see a lot of investors wanting to buy the general obligation bonds and also the limited obligation bonds of not only Onslow County but many other counties and towns and cities within North Carolina. So it's a tribute of from a state perspective too, of it's a good government state, in my opinion.
Well, you know, as I'm listening to all of this and working with you all every year on our departmental budget, I think the best part, as we kind of sum this up, is the fact that you are, your team for the past at least 20 years have also been awarded this award for your budget report, what we call the budget book, which now isn't necessarily a literal book, but a digital online version. Is you take all of this information, you process it, and now you've made it very accessible for the general public to just understand where their tax dollars go, and that really their tax dollars are being used so effectively for the delivery of service. Talk a little bit about the budget book, that wonderful, really tool for understanding county government.
It's I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it's about, it might sound like it's about 400 pages, right around between 400 to 500 pages we put together, but it's truly a team effort. We really pushed to be as paperless as possible. We do everything. Pretty much the whole process is electronic now. When we meet with department heads and different staff, everything is in the financial system in an electronic format, whether it be their notes, their documents. We're looking at it all up on the screen electronically. So that's one thing that we push. And all the documents flow to us from an electronic perspective. We ask for each department to put in, I call it a narrative, but they put in what goal, what's the objective of your department, what goals have you achieved the fiscal year that you're in, what goals you're looking to achieve the next fiscal year, and then you can kind of tie what goals you're looking to achieve the next fiscal year into your requests. So we can kind of get a clear picture of, all right, say you're asking for an additional person, an additional staff in any given department. By seeing what goals you have next year, it kind of gives us an ability to tie in why you might need that additional staff. So again, this all flows up through finance electronically. So when we get that narrative, it's in a certain format. We take it, we bring it together into one book. This past fiscal year, I think we only printed 2 or 3 books altogether. It's all in a PDF format now, and then you bring it all together into one document from a PDF perspective, and then we put it online. And the table of contents now, if anybody wants to go and look at it, you click on the table of contents, and it will take you to the area that you might want to review. So it's truly a team effort from the department level all the way up to finance and to the management team. It's truly a team effort, and it is. I'm very proud to say it's completely electronic now.
It is. It's an electronic roadmap, if you will, to where we're going in Onslow County, and you've helped, you've been our Magellan. You've mapped the way for us.
Magellan of finance. Okay.
I think you have a new tagline. Well, David, we appreciate your time. As we kind of close out, if you would want citizens to understand just really kind of the fundamentals of what Onslow County finance is all about, can you sum it up for us?
Well, our main function is to keep in mind, from a budget perspective, we receive revenues from the federal government, the state government, and obviously there's a variety of revenues that come in through finance. And one of our objectives is to make sure that with the money that you receive from the federal and state government, there's certain guidelines you have to follow on how you spend the money. So one of our responsibilities in finance is to make sure that we are spending those funds in accordance to the guidelines that are set forth by the federal and state government. And also, one of our main goals too, as revenue comes in, the various revenues, as we were just talking about the budget's adopted every year, for each fiscal year. We want to make sure that we spend the money in accordance to how the budget was adopted by the Board of Commissioners in any given year.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate your time, and I know that this is the busiest time of the year for you, so we're going to let you go, but thank you for your time and for sharing with us.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and joining us is a new face to Onslow County, Glenn Hatstead. Glenn is our Director of ITS. First, we want to welcome you to Onslow County today.
Well, thank you very much.
And welcome to Onslow County.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, we have had a little bit of a conversation off camera where we were talking about really your background in coming to Onslow County. You've been with us now about 5 months?
Yes, ma'am, since October.
Since October, and it's not, certainly not new to ITS, and certainly not new to municipal government. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I came from the city of High Point, where I'd worked since 1998. Prior to that, with Burlington House and Toltecs and HMO in New York.
So you've come south, you've been south about 20 years now?
22.
22 years. And probably miss the snow a little bit?
No,
Not at all.
not at all.
But really, your career has been watching the evolution of technology and municipal provision of municipal services, government services.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so you've brought that expertise to Onslow County. Glenn, when we're doing this show is all about that behind-the-scene idea. And talk a little bit about what you see as the role of ITS for all those other county departments. We'll talk about both internal and external customers for you.
Well, so I see IT as really being a partner to the business, to enabling their business process, understanding their business processes, and being able to translate that to the technology. And how do we get them from A to B, because they're not technical for the most part, and for us to be able to make that translation and to apply the technology to fix their issues.
You know, your team has been really helpful to us. I'm in the history business, so you would think, oh, history business, we like everything in the past, you know, I'm still pen and paper. But yet, what the customer, the visitor expectation is to all of our county departments is faster, 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 more efficient, cost effective, and can I reach it at a keystroke? Can I reach it at a swipe on my smart device? And so your job is really to make sure that we have everything we need, even when we sometimes don't speak the same language that you speak.
Well, that's our job, is to make that translation. Onslow County demographically has the youngest population of any county in the state, which lends itself to more technology use and more technology acceptance. And so for us to be able to make that translation for you so that you can better interact with your customer base, that's why we're here.
You know, as you said, you started your career in municipal IT in about 1998.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, all of the changes that you've seen. We were talking off camera about how in just our household use of technology, there is this idea that we do want it faster, we do want it more effective, want it more efficient, except that it's not exactly the same as when I just want wireless at my house.
No, you
Talk
know.
a little bit about who your customers are internally, because you're talking about almost 30 different departments, about 1,100 people.
Yes, ma'am. It's quite a few. So, you know, it's a different aspect of looking at the technology. When you mention wireless, putting wireless in a home is really easy. Anybody can do it. Putting wireless in an enterprise infrastructure is a lot more difficult and challenging because there's so many laws and regulations that we're under, depending on the type of data or the location and where the device is going to be. And we have to make sure that we're keeping everything secure and backed up and protected in the back end to make sure that, you know, we're not opening doors for the bad guys.
Well, you know, that's something we've all become so much more aware of, is the idea of digital electronic security, because things, you know, we've all heard, you know, corporations and having things compromised, and on top of that, we have the responsibility as a government entity as well to the safety and security of our citizens.
Absolutely. We have to be good stewards of the data that we've been given, not just the money that we've been given. It's important that we protect that data and not cause our citizens any undue stress or harm because of our protection of that data.
As you've become more integrated into Onslow County, as you're getting to know the area, and as well as the wide variety of services that we offer here in the county, what has been kind of your immediate takeaways?
Well, first of all, it's a beautiful county. I mean, there's so many great places to see. It's also very diverse in the number of services that the county provides. It's more diverse than you would experience in a municipal environment. Even though I was coming from a larger city, and we had some of these things that a lot of other cities don't, we still didn't supply the array of services that we provide.
Now, you have a relatively small staff for
Yeah.
the delivery of these services. Talk a little about the expertise of your staff. What do they bring to the table? What did you find when you got here?
They're amazing, first of all. What they're able to accomplish and what they're able to do, given the number of people that we have, is frankly astounding. In a city environment, you'll typically have significantly more staff, in some cases almost double or triple, based on the population that we support just on the IT side. On the GIS side also, the staff that they have here is top-notch. And the services that they provide are among the best that you'll find in the state, and they're doing it with a significantly less number of people than you would find somewhere else.
Now, you, as you said, you've got a relatively small staff, and they're delivering these great services. They also bring a variety of different kind of gifts and talents. Because
Absolutely.
you all do everything from maintaining the website to technology, tech support, but also in helping match the right type of software and hardware and equipment that each department needs. How much homework goes into what you all do on a daily basis?
It's amazing. Actually, the breadth of knowledge that they have to maintain is unlike anything you'll find pretty much anywhere else. They can go from replacing a keyboard or a mouse to reprogramming a router, to dealing with a large enterprise piece of software and mapping business processes into that software and getting it to work right. So the breadth of knowledge is fantastic. We do have some people that are better, certainly at other areas, and we try to utilize those skill sets to provide the best customer service that we can.
And I think that's what we would all say as well when we're out in the field and we make that panic phone call. Your folks are a little bit therapist as well, aren't they, when something crashes, so to speak?
Absolutely. Much like those that are in the public service on the EOC end or sheriff or the ambulance, we're getting people when they're having a bad day. And so we have to be able to talk them off the ledge and resolve their issue at the same time.
And also, we know we've been places, we've seen other things work, and when we aren't quite exactly able to articulate what it is that we want, you very quickly can assess our needs and say, you know what I think might work for you, and this is what's going to be the most cost-effective as well.
Absolutely. You have to be able to translate the resolutions into solutions. You have to understand what their business process is, why they're asking the questions that they're asking, so that you can determine the best course of action to get them there.
Well, with all of that, you also have some external customers, and we're going to be speaking here in just a little bit with Patricia Pike, who
Absolutely.
is the director of your GIS program. But when you think about that external customer, as you said, we're a very young population, and we also have those folks who are still pen and paper folks, and so you have to also work a little bit in two worlds here, don't you?
Absolutely. You have to be able to support everyone where they are. You have to meet them where they are. We're responsible. The only external customers that we really get to respond to are those dealing with the website. And we have a new website that we'll be rolling out next fiscal.
Right.
And that will also have a mobile component. so people can do what they need to do using the device they want to use.
Well, you know what we appreciate is, we used to say welcome to the 21st century, and now we're well into it, 16 years now, well into the 16th century, and that Onslow County has come dramatically, so quickly into that. And,
That's right.
And we'll be looking at some significant changes probably in the next year to 2 years.
Absolutely. I think you'll probably see the technology become even more mobile than it is today. Maybe more wearable technology, see where things are going with that. It's going to be fun.
Well, I think that's a great attitude, is that, you know, where sometimes technology can be intimidating to some people, and you just think, why aren't you working, button,
Right.
button, button. This next generation, especially the millennial generation, that it is second nature for an elementary school child to pick up a device and almost intuitively know exactly what to do and not get flustered if it doesn't do exactly what they just know it's part of the game.
Yeah, they roll with the punches a little bit better. But you know, that's part of technology. You know, it's interesting to see how it evolves, and we're all very excited about it. You know, we love this stuff, and we love working with the people we get to work with.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end our interview. Glenn, welcome to Onslow County.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking your time today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County today. And joining us now is one of my favorite behind-the-scenes folks. We don't always get to have her on the show, but we work together on a lot of different fun projects. And that is Patricia Pike with Onslow County GIS. Patricia, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, first we have to tell everybody, because we love us an acronym in government.
Right.
So tell us, what is GIS?
Geographical Information Services. So it's anything dealing with the geography of our county.
Now, you know, when we come in here from the museum side of the house, we are especially interested in maps. And you all aid us so much. But we want to talk about what you all do, kind of big picture, how you serve external customers, our citizens, and then how you work with almost every county department who have all kinds of different specialized needs. So first, let's talk a little bit about what GIS does for our citizens.
Okay. Probably one of the things that people don't always understand that our GIS department does, is we handle the deeds. Every deed that is recorded, we pick up the next day. So if you had property that you purchased and you had a deed recorded Friday, then this morning at 8 o'clock, my staff pick those deeds up from the register of deeds and process those deeds, which means that's transferring that property from the previous owner to your name. So, and that information is on the internet because it is public information, but that is what our office does. It is responsible for the parcel layer, which is how your property is taxed. So you have attorneys, surveyors, realtors, and the general public looking at that information, because that's how we know who owns what and how much they own and where their property is located within the county. So that is a driving force behind what we do, because all of the other layers that we use focus on that base layer. So we're also responsible for the external part, as far as like E911 using for the public. When you dial 911, we create those layers in the 911 system that lets them know what roads to use, where that address is located, which fire department's going to send, which emergency service department is going, whether it be fire, rescue, or police. So it lets them know what municipality it's in and where the location is at. So it's a network of lots of layers that encompasses that information that is used. But that base layer of parcels is the driving force behind all of the rest of the information. So we're also, another part of our department, we're responsible for addressing outside of the municipal boundaries, anything that's within the unincorporated areas of the county. GIS is responsible for that. And then the other side of our house, what I call the third side of our house, is the GIS technician side, which is responsible for all of the other layers, whether it be the E911 layers,
whether it is the streets, whether it's the fire districts, whether it's city limits, extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is ETJ, flood layers, soil layers, just any other layer of information that we overlay inside of GIS to be able to do analysis off of. So that is the fun part of GIS, is doing the analysis, being able to help Onslow County School System locate a piece of property that could be a potential school site based on criteria that they need, whether it is a size of acreage, whether it's serviced by sewer or water. All of that information is something that we can do graphically to be able to display.
You know, you all are really the window on the county. You know, you kind of, I don't know, kids primarily are so comfortable with it. You know, let's Google our house. Where do we live? And look at Google Earth and this whole idea of seeing. But you all have been doing that for years. Maybe not necessarily in a technological sense, but that vision,
Right.
which has always amazed me, is knowing where every roadway is, where every boundary is. And what we found out about 20 years ago is where every creek and stream is in Onslow County. The idea of flood maps and knowing Onslow County, you know, when you look now, and I guess every waterway is indicated by, is it by blue on your maps? There's a lot more blue in Onslow County than people really realized, I think.
Absolutely.
When people call on you all for your expertise, Patricia, you've been with the county how many years now?
Almost 31.
Almost 31 years. So you've seen that transition as well, from hand-drawn maps laid out on a table to, again, as you say, being able to press a button
Right.
and seeing the maps. Talk about your department and your philosophy that every technology isn't something to be dreaded, but you all have embraced it.
It is. It's always different. Every day there's something different with it. So that's the fun side of GIS, is because you are looking at lots of technology and lots of layers, and it's whatever you can imagine you can use with it. We use it for the E911 part, but the other thing that people may not realize is when you're buying a house, they're wanting to know where that house is located, but they're wanting to know if it's in a flood zone. They're wanting to know, does it have public water, public sewer? They're wanting to know what fire district it's in, because all of those things have a bearing on what your insurance is going to be. So if you're in a flood zone, it's going to cost you more insurance. If you're in a fire district or not in a fire district, then it could cost you more, dollars. So having that information at your fingertips is one of probably the biggest changes I've seen in the 31 years. Not only going from having huge Mylar maps that you worked on, and going, when I began, I think they were like 2 years behind on transfer. So if your deed was recorded yesterday, it may have
2 years.
before it actually showed up somewhere that you could see that. Now, internally, they knew that, but you had big scrolls that you looked at. Now, you can go on the internet and click a button, and if your property was transferred Friday, then chances are you're going to see it on the website tomorrow with your name showing. So that turnaround time is a lot quicker. But being able to see all the information about your property sitting in the comfort of your home or on your smartphone as you're driving down the road, that is a great technology and has helped the general public. And it has helped our office as well, because it helps us to continue to do what we need to do to get that information in there as quickly as possible, because it is where the general public can access it.
Well, the whole idea of accessibility is something, it's just common language at this point, that I should be able to see that. There's that expectation.
Exactly.
Now, one of the other things that we definitely want to talk about, Patricia, is in your 31 years, you've now, in the last year, been in the new county government center. And for one of the most high-tech departments in the county, you were actually in one of the oldest buildings.
Yes, ma'am.
And now when we come in, I can't imagine how you all feel walking in the door every day. Share a little bit about your staff and your team who've been together a really long time as well.
Right. I think it gives us renewed energy, excitement to come into a nice, clean, open, spacious building. It gives you, just like with your home, going into your home, or if you get a new car, the excitement of it is something that I think we all feel and very excited about. But having the fresh air to be able to breathe and stuff, and not worrying about the ceiling leakings and things like that has been great for us. But just having all of the departments together under this one roof, because we do a lot of work with other departments, environmental health. We have an application where they can go out and collect data with GPS equipment, and they use GIS layers, and they actually write septic tank permits using that technology. So we are intermingled together with them. Planning, when you're building a new house, your permitting information is based on the location of your property and your property lines and the utilities and things that you have. So we work hand in hand with those folks and with the flood. So having all of those people in this one building, if there is an issue, before I would have to get in my car and drive across, town to a different building in order to assist them if there was some issue with GIS that they were using. Now we can go downstairs or just walk down the hall or across the hall or whatever to where they're at, and to be able to use that technology. And our network is really good here, so we're not worrying so much about things going down in the older building. Brownouts, things would go offline, and we've not had those issues now.
That has been remarkable. The other thing is we can see a little bit as we're having our conversation, this is also a pretty busy place.
Yes, ma'am.
And what has been the feedback from your users, from the citizens who, one, need that information quickly, and also still can come up here and sit down with one of your staff and get the information that they need? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think just the parking and getting in and out, and also, like I said, working with other departments, like wood planning, people having to review maps before, because we sign off on every map that is recorded. So that's part of the general statutes, that there has to be a review officer. So we have review officers within this department. So they have to go to planning first with their map to have that signed. So they used to have to get in their car, drive to our office, try to find a parking place in our limited parking, come in, get their map signed, then they'd have to go to the register of deeds to have it recorded. So now it's, everything except for the register of deeds, we're all here. So if there's an issue, like sometimes people are not real sure where to go, so they may come here first. Well, they would come here when we were at the old office, and then they have to go back and drive again and then come back. Now they can just go downstairs and we're all in the same location. So we've had really good it's been received very well with the public as far as coming in and the openness of it, and having nice furniture to be able to sit down in, and our equipment, our tables will lift. So we work with some people sometimes that may have problem with sitting and getting up and down. Now we can press a button and lift our tables up so that it can be eye level with people to be able to see, and that has been well received as well.
Well, Patricia, I know that you were instrumental in a lot of the design of your space and the needs of your users, whether they be internal or external, and that 31 years of experience, has come in incredibly handy in all of this process. If you wanted people to understand one thing about GIS, kind of to sum up the role and how you work hand in hand with all of these other county departments in the delivery of their service, what would it be?
Well, it's all about service and having the information correct. We want to make sure all of our information is correct, and it's easily accessible to the general public as well as the other departments. And we're willing to, if there's information that people need, we're constantly making changes and things. We're constantly trying to upgrade our software so that it will support iPads and the new technology that people are accessing the data with. So I think it's all about service and how we service the public and our other users within county government and within city government and state government that we work with.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for always being the most enthusiastic person that we could possibly have
Thank you.
sharing this information with our public.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and as we've been doing all day, we've been visiting with the behind-the-scenes folks that make Onslow County move. And now we're joined by David Bullock and Randy Jones from Onslow County Asset and Facility Management. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, Randy, we want to begin with you because you're the Director of Asset and Facility Management, and you have 30-plus years experience with the county. First thing we want to do is talk a little bit about how you have seen what we used to call buildings and grounds evolve. So tell us a little bit about the changes you've seen.
Well, we've changed with the times because we're becoming more modernized. We're finally getting into some new facilities, which is definitely been needed for many years. Our staff has grown over the years, not dramatically, but they've grown to try to take care of the existing buildings that we have now. We've got David Bullock with us now. He comes from the school. He's got 30-plus years of experience. He's come with new ideas of doing things that we haven't done before. He's been a great asset to us, and we are truly evolving the way we are able to serve our patrons, which are the internal staff to Onslow County.
David, we want to welcome you to Onslow County. You've been with us
Thank you. About 5 months now.
about 5 months. And David, you do come from the school setting.
Correct.
So not too different in the type of facilities, but really perhaps in the management. How is it that what are some of the similarities and then some of the differences you've encountered?
Well, a lot of the similarities, we both use a lot of the same vendors over the years. A lot of the differences is the way the budget's done. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot to learn there so far as that goes, but it's very similar. I think one of the things I bring to the table is my contacts, which I've learned a lot of contacts through Randy too. But I know a lot of people had to deal with over the years, so I think that helps.
And as we're talking about, you each have 30-plus years of experience. I imagine you have seen a difference in construction styles and people's needs and expectations. Randy, I know that in the last 10 years, you have overseen some tremendous construction projects here in the county, from one side of the county to the other.
True.
Talk a little bit about how the relationships have changed, and also how we're looking at buildings differently.
Well, we're looking at a lot of things in different ways now. We've gone, when we started the jail project, Justice Complex project, we learned a lot from that project, a lot of things not to do and a lot of things to do. We started right prior to that with digital controls, building automation, and we've extensively gone that route with all of our new buildings, which has given us it's a tool for us to use when we're doing maintenance. We can diagnose what's wrong with a building just by going online, looking. We can make a lot of changes and corrections just from sitting in front of the computer. It saves time. It saves us from sending somebody else out to look at the situation. It saves gas. So things have changed. Building methods have changed. We're using a lot of different energy codes now. Everything's more efficient. The electrical, the building insulation, everything is geared more now toward saving energy and providing more for our citizens at a lesser cost.
One of the projects you and I worked on went so far as this was one of our first green buildings, and we've been looking at a lot of new technologies that way as well to recognize to be good stewards of resources.
Yes, well, that ties into our building automation controls. We've got a system down there set alone to monitor just the electrical use, the water usage, everything that's used in that building, and we can compile the information. It is, it's for the public to know that we are trying to save money and trying to save energy, and we're monitoring it, and it's a useful tool.
Now, David, one of your strengths and the team that you work with is the county has invested a lot in these buildings, and one of the things that you all are tasked with is continuing to keep those buildings beautiful. And I know that one of the things that people say about our building, for example, we've been in it 22 years, and they can't believe that building's been around 22 years. It still looks like new. Talk about your philosophy of keeping things like new.
Well, I'm over the housekeeping staff, and they do a great job, as you well know. One things that we're looking at are, when you mentioned greener products, is we're looking at greener products and being more efficient on the way we do things. We've implemented a check sheet for the custodial staff, and to make their job a little easier, more efficient. And again, we're looking at different products, take up less space, save a little bit of money too.
So using those products that are concentrated.
Exactly.
Yeah, the concentrated products. But also we're much more aware, I think, now of the sensitivity of our users to the types of chemicals, so that you want a building to be clean, but you also don't want it to be overwhelming, in case people do have sensitivities or allergies.
That's true. And again, I'm researching products all the time and looking at the best products that are not going to cause issues like that.
Now, Randy, your team here has been together a long time, and you know what? I applaud them because they come with the best attitude. We sometimes have emergency calls that they have to come in and fix, and they take such pride. Talk a little bit about when you all are all together making the county buildings. We are the welcome to our visitors, to our citizens, and you all work really hard to keep it that way.
Well, we have to take some pride in what we do. I mean, this is the facilities. When you walk in, that's what the public sees, and if we don't take care of it, they're going to wonder, well, why are you building this if you're not going to take care of it? I've got a staff that, we used to be the youngest staff around. Now we're getting one of the older staffs around. So as far as the physical ability, we're not able to do a lot of the stuff as manual laborers we used to be able to do, but we have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge in my maintenance mechanics. Most of them have been here quite a while. We know all of the buildings inside and out. If any one of my guys left, we would be in a bad situation because they take a wealth of knowledge with them. But we all take pride in what we do. We want to take care of the investment that the county makes. I was told one time, if we're going to build it, we need to take care of it. So we're moving in that direction. We're doing the best we can. These new facilities are really helping. The older facilities were just very difficult to take care of, moisture problems, stuff like that. It's hard to control. I mean, you've got an old building, and it's always had a situation where it leaked or had water infiltration, and you try your best to keep it out, but eventually replacing it with a new energy efficient building where the building envelope is sealed really is a good investment.
Well, I think that's the best possible way that we could end is when you've invested in the buildings. If you're going to build it, you're going to take care of it, and you all are the best possible team to do that. On behalf of everyone who lives in Onslow County and uses these facilities, thank you for what you do, and thank you for taking a moment to let us peek behind the scenes at what you do.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for joining us for this special behind-the-scenes tour of Onslow County. This spring, we recognize National County Government Month, and we want to say thank you to those departments who help us all do a better job for you, the citizens of Onslow County. We want to thank our guests from Onslow County Purchasing, Onslow County Finance, Onslow County ITS and GIS, and Onslow County Asset and Facility Management. It's beautiful, it's springtime, and it's time to get out and explore your Onslow County today. We'll see you next time.